Every 98 seconds, another person is sexually assaulted. Most often, it's by someone the victim knows. And today, only 3 out of every 500 rapists will end up behind bars. And while maybe you may not be a victim, someone you know has.
I was living with my mom, and I was grounded, and a friend had called me and asked me to walk to the store with her. These guys came and picked us up from the drugstore, and they were driving this like pimped out Cadillac, and they were older, and so we got in the car with them and we went to the liquor store and they bought liquor and just started drinking.
I really didn't, realize the signs or see anything at first. We would clash sometimes and he would hit me.
I remember I kept asking them to use the phone to call my mom, and they just kept saying, you can call her later, you can call her later, you can call her later. They just kept feeding me more alcohol, more alcohol.
I remember one incident where he held a knife to my throat and threatened to kill me, and I called the police. And then, of course, he convinced me to drop the charges.
We were standing at the back of the vehicle. I ended up getting so intoxicated that I passed out.
He ended up tying me up and sexually assaulted me after beating me for 2.5 hours. He finally fell asleep, and at that moment I laid in bed and I was thinking, what do I do?
I had scrapes all over my elbows, and one of them put me in the back seat of the car and raped me in the back seat of the car.
Jordan Hughes was raped when she was just 14 years old.
I never went to counseling. I never talked to anybody about it. It just was kind of like, shoved aside and life goes on.
I tell people, you keep stuff bottled up, it comes out regardless of whether you want it to or not.
Carrie Matthews, the program director for New Directions Women's Shelter, says there are people for victims to talk to.
A lot of times with sexual assault, people don't want to report. Maybe they're ashamed of how it happened, that it happened to them. There's a lot of victim blaming that happens with sexual assault.
Why did you get in the car? Or why did you drink that much? If you hadn't drank that much, you wouldn't have passed out. Or, if you hadn't of, this wouldn't have happened. If you hadn't of, this wouldn't have happened. Well, if they wouldn't of, it wouldn't have happened. End of story.
According to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network's website, 2 out of every 3 sexual assaults go unreported. In Jordan's case, she did go to police, and there was physical evidence of sexual assault. But because she couldn't remember much, detectives told her and her family they didn't have enough information to go after the man. She says it's something she carried with her whole life.
And it affects your family life, your marriage life, your relationship with your kids.
It's about someone being able to exert their power over another person. That is the same thing that happens a lot of times in a relationship where there's domestic violence.
April Campbell was married to her ex-husband for 7.5 years and never thought of herself as being in an abusive relationship until she got out.
You justify things. Oh, he was upset. Oh, he said it's not going to happen again. Oh, I really want my daughter to have a mom and a dad and not be from a divorced home like I was.
A lot of times, because especially if they're married, the partner may feel like that they have to do something sexual with their partner that they don't want to do just because they are married. And so, you can even be raped or sexually assaulted by someone that you love, that you are even married to.
The last straw for April came when her ex came home after a night of drinking.
I let him in the house, and then he proceeded to beat me for 2.5 hours, banging my head against the door, getting on top of me and choking me. And I really, honestly, that night I thought I was gonna die.
April snuck away and called the police, and he was arrested and charged.
It was hard because I was, far away from any family, but I knew then that that's what I needed to do.
A lot of times the victim is scared, they don't know what to do, and they just don't know sometimes where to turn because they've been told that no one would help them. There's other people that are going through some of the same things that you are, and that what you feel and what you think and all of the emotions that you're going through are completely normal. It's going to be hard, but you don't have to do it alone.
For April and Jordan, they hope that telling their stories will inspire others to speak up too.
Love shouldn't hurt. no one should be, hurting you or abusing you. And so you definitely need to talk about it and get some help. I mean, because once you're out of the situation, you'll look back and you'll just, I can't believe I stayed. I can't believe that I went through this for so long.
I think that God put me on this earth to help people anyway. So he put me through that so that I could come out and have the strength that I have now, and have the knowledge that I have now, and have the fight that I have now, and the voice that I have now to help people. That's what I take out of it. Absolutely.
It's not common for victims of domestic violence or sexual assault to come out so publicly with their stories. But for April and Jordan, they wanted to show other victims that you can heal from something like this and come out even stronger. My aunt was a victim of domestic violence, and in 2010, she was murdered by her estranged husband. If you or someone you know is or was a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault, speak up. You may save someone's life or your own. For 7 News, I'm Makenzie Burk.